The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons. Hello and welcome to the West Ham Massive, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. I've just put this little recording together and I need you guys to put comments in the section below because I'm really interested to know in what you guys and girls think about this particular topic. Now, obviously, I'm recording this on Monday, the 30th of October, the day after West Ham succumbed to their 3rd successive defeat in all competitions with a 1-0 reverse at home to Everton. I'm not going to talk specifically about the match in and of itself. That will be covered in the match review, which will be taking place tonight at 9 p.m. So don't forget to have a look at that and join in, please. But this is kind of a subplot to that particular match, and obviously it probably stretches back quite some considerable time. Now, David Moyes, at this precise moment in time, his contract is due to expire at London Stadium at the end of this season. Now, it appears there's not really been too much in the way of negotiations, talks about whether he's going to extend that deal or not, which leaves us in a little bit of limbo, I believe, in terms of the players looking at the manager and having the security that is he going to be there for the long term? Is he not? I mean, what is long-term in Premier League football? I mean, I've always said that a Premier League manager, and I don't care whether we're talking about Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, if you go 6 successive games and you lose 6 successive games, I think you'd be pretty hard-pressed to keep your job, even if you're in that particular realm of achievement as those two, let alone David Moyes. Now, 3 successive defeats we've had in all competitions, and we've got Arsenal to come. We've got Brentford as well. These are not going to be easy fixtures by any stretch of the imagination. And I think now we need to ask the question, as and when David Moyes is replaced, and how that comes about, whether it's going to be at the end of this season, whether it's going to be during this season, whether it's going to be next season, the season after, I don't know. I can't see into the future. But I think that we need to have some succession planning. And I think that this is something that as we've been quite bad at in a lot of cases in the past. And I think that we need to try and get some due diligence done here. Now, I think that the arrival of Tim Stuyton into the club will possibly be something that would be beneficial to that. But I just want to get your opinions on some of the particular contenders. Some of them you may have heard of and may be very familiar with, others maybe not. So let's go through this together. Now, the first contender I wish to discuss is formerly of this parish, Mr. Michael Carrick. Now, Michael Carrick obviously had a stellar career as a player. We obviously know he came through the academy at our very own West Ham. played with us for many years, went on to other pastures. And unfortunately, he ended up going to White Hart Lane for a spell, but he ended up going to Manchester United during the Ferguson years, and obviously won pretty much everything there was to win: Premier League titles, Champions Leagues. Didn't get as many England caps as I believe he should have done. He then went into the coaching side of things when Jose Mourinho was the manager at Manchester United. And he was also appointed alongside someone else that we are going to discuss in due course, but we'll just concentrate on Michael Carrick for the minute. He actually became, after the departure of Jose Mourinho and before they installed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the manager, he was actually installed as a caretaker manager for Manchester United. He was only in charge for 3 games, but he won 2 of them, drew the other one, so a 66.67% win record. Not too bad, but he was then obviously put back into the coaching staff when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in as the manager himself. So going on from there, he was obviously, like I say, he went on and he's now the manager of Middlesbrough. Now, when he walked in at Middlesbrough had played 16 matches in the EFL Championship. He was appointed on the 24th of October last year, and they were 17 points from 16 games played. They were 1 point above the relegation zone. The transformation that Michael Carrick managed to get going at Middlesbrough was absolutely astonishing. He turned them from that position when he walked through the door, and he managed to get them to 4th place. At one point, they were actually contenders to go up automatically, would you believe? But they just sort of fell away at the end. They managed to get into 4th place, therefore a playoff position. Unfortunately, they didn't get past Coventry City, who made it to the final against Luton Town. Obviously, Luton Town got the promotion off of the back of that. They've started this season, started a little bit sort of like slowly, but they're just managing to get a little bit of momentum going again. At this precise moment in time, they're 10th place in the EFL Championship, 14 games played. They've managed to get 20 points. As I say, it was a bit of a slow start, but they're starting to put things together again now. If we look at his Middlesbrough managerial record, 50 matches played, 27 wins, 7 draws, 16 defeats, with a 54% win record. Obviously, some of the pros that I think would be in Michael Carrick's favour. I think that the fact that he came through the academy would mean that he knows the DNA of the football club. He knows what the fans want. He knows what would be something that would grate the gears of the fans. So he wouldn't need to sort of be explained what is the West Ham way, as some managers might need to have that explained to them. That would not be the case with Michael Carrick. So that's a big plus. Probably one of the negatives is that his limited experience at managing at Premier League level. He's only managed 3 games in the caretaker capacity for Manchester United. He did well, don't get me wrong. As I say, 3 matches played, 2 wins, 1 draw, didn't lose a game. But it's quite a limited sample size for you to sort of turn around and say that this is a guy that we want to sort of have as our next Premier League number 1 manager for the next however long. You might think that he's a viable option. You might not. The comment section is below. Please feel free to get stuck into that. Now, I mentioned that Michael Carrick was alongside another coach, at Manchester United. And this is someone that I also want to have a discussion about. His name is Kieran McKenna. Now, Kieran McKenna, he's a Northern Irish gentleman. And as far as his playing career was concerned, it wasn't sort of like a career that was particularly, stellar. I mean, unlike Michael Carrick, he had caps for the Northern Ireland under 19s and under 21s. But as I say, didn't really sort of have that much of a playing career due to a hip injury. So he went into coaching, and he's coached the Tottenham Hotspur under 18s, the Manchester United under 18s, and he was also the Manchester United assistant manager. In 2021, he decided that he wanted to become a number one in his own right. And on the 16th of December 2021, he was appointed as the manager of Ipswich Town. He signed a 3.5-year contract, and he obviously went in there and he's had a fantastic time there, it has to be said. From when he's walked through the door, with an Ipswich team that were not pulling up any trees, I think it's fair to say. He's managed to get them promoted from League One into the EFL Championship. He's won Manager of the Month awards in the League One level. And the style of football that they play is pretty pleasing on the eye, generally speaking, I think it's fair to say. He signed a 4-year contract at the end of the 22-23 season to extend his stay at Portman Road until 2027. If we then fast forward to this season, obviously, as I say, they got promoted from League One last season into the EFL Championship. You're probably going to sit there and think, well, League One to Championship, it's quite a jump. It might have been quite sticky. Not a bit of it. They had 4 wins and a draw in their opening 5 matches. And as this precise moment in time, they actually find themselves in second place in the EFL Championship. Leicester are in first on 14 games with 39 points out of those 14 games. Ipswich are on 34 points, but they have played 1 game less. For me, I think that this could be a viable option. He's obviously a young manager, hungry. He is 37 years of age. So he's still in his formative years as far as a manager is concerned, much like Michael Carrick. But he would have obviously had a good grounding in his career at teams, sort of like that he's had involvement with before: Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United. Obviously, whatever you want to say about those clubs with our sort of like differences, that they are teams that their traditions of playing football in a certain way is very much aligned to West Ham United. And I think that would be something that we would need to be giving due consideration to. So that's Kieran McKenna discussed. Now, another name, and this is someone that I think is someone that is probably, for some people, probably the front runner, although he does polarize opinions. Graham Potter. Now, Graham Potter was a player in the Premier League for Southampton for a period of time, and he went around certain other clubs in the lower reaches like Northampton Town, Reading, York City, etc., etc. So his playing career, not wonderful, but decent enough. But then when he moved on to a managerial career, he actually tested himself in a foreign country. He went and managed, Östersund in Sweden. And I remember years ago, they played and beat Arsenal at the Emirates under his stewardship. He then came and managed in Great Britain. I would say England, but it was the English pyramid, if you will. But he managed it at Swansea in Wales, managed them for a bit, then got the move to Brighton and Hove Albion, and I think it was there where really a lot of people looked at him and went, "Oh wow, this is actually quite a sort of up and coming young coach." He managed to sort of take over from Chris Hughton. At the end of the 2018-19 season, he was dismissed, and in came Potter, and he managed to transform the playing style of Brighton and Hove Albion into a much more sort of progressive style of football. Got them a couple of good placings in the Premier League, and off of the back of that, and his obviously his star had sort of like increased to such a level where he was picked up by Chelsea. Now, this is where a lot of people sort of look and they base a judgment on Graham Potter as a coach purely off of the time that he had at Chelsea, which I think is quite unfortunate. But I guess it's probably, in some ways, you could probably say that because it's the most recent one, that's probably what people are going to focus on. He was installed on the 8th of September 2022 and dismissed on the 2nd of April 2023. His tenure lasted 31 matches, of which he managed to only get 12 wins. So he got a 38.7% win record, which I guess when you're at a club like Chelsea with the amount of money that they're spending is probably not good enough, and hence why he was shown the door. But that being said, I think it's fair to say that Chelsea are something of a basket case of a club. I mean, you're getting players that are being parachuted in, players that are being bought that probably the manager doesn't even have any say on, and it's quite difficult. I think that probably that's probably an unfair judgment to make on him. I think if you sort of take a step back and look at his entire sort of coaching sort of resume, Ostersund, Swansea City, Brighton and Hove Albion, Chelsea combined, and you realise what he was, some of the obstacles that he had in his way, I think that actually he's probably someone that should be given a little bit more due consideration than some people give him. But that's just my opinion. You've got a comment section below. Get stuck into that. So the next person that I want to discuss, and again, this is someone that has been discussed before, and a very impressive young man when I've seen him in interviews, and his name is William Still. Now, although he was born and raised in Belgium, he has English parents. He speaks perfect English and perfect French as well, as it turns out, which actually would be quite advantageous because we do have a French-speaking contingent at the club, the likes of Alphonse Areola, Kurt Zuma, Saïd Benrahma, Naya Fagur, Maxwell Cornet. So he'd be able to converse with that particular contingent. So that's a bit of a plus. This is a guy that started in coaching very early on. He was appointed a caretaker manager at the age of only 24. He's also, in the early stages of his career, he was an assistant. His start in coaching came at the under-14s manager of Preston North End. He's also had other positions as well as in coaching realms. He's also been a video analyst at Saint-Trudin in the Belgian First Division A. And he's sort of like, he's had various coaching roles and managerial roles since then. He's currently the manager of Stade Reims in Ligue 1. Now, they're not one of the heavy hitters of French football, it has to be said. However, he's gone in there and he actually did really, really well, despite the fact that they haven't got the financial firepower of the PSGs, the Monacos, the Marseilles, the Lyons. He went into there and he set a new Ligue 1 record with 17 matches unbeaten. A very, very impressive young man. I mean, if you look, he's only 31 years of age, but he's really doing well in French Ligue 1. If you look at his managerial record, 42 games played, 19 wins, a 45.24% win record. Now, I know that some people would turn around and say it's a farmers league, this, that, and the other, but I think he's someone that would come in and he would bring a new vitality to London Stadium, which is something that at the minute we don't seem to have. We seem to be petering out, and I think he would be someone that would really get the players to buck their ideas up and start sort of trying to sort of play with a little bit more courage than I've seen of late. That's just my thoughts. One other thing to mention, he is actually on record as saying he is a West Ham fan, and it was West Ham managerial job would be his dream job. So maybe that's something to consider there. The next manager I'd like to discuss is a gentleman by the name of Arne Slot. Now, Arne Slot is currently the manager at Feyenoord. Now, he has also managed AZ Alkmaar, which is a team that we're going to be very familiar with. And he's been the manager of Feyenoord since December the 15th, 2020. Now, he actually managed in his second season as the coach of Feyenoord, managed to win the Eredivisie, and it was their first league title since 2017. Now, he was actually heavily linked with the vacancy that came at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium before it was filled by Ange Postecoglou. And it was announced fairly shortly after that sort of scenario managed to unfold that he would be extending his contract at Feyenoord until the mid 2026. But let's be completely honest. Really, in the world of football, contracts don't mean anything, and it's the old thing of money talks, bullshit walks. If a manager was to, if a chairman was to come in with a deal that was suiting all parties, then let's be honest, he would be off. If we look at his managerial stats at both AZ Alkmaar and at Feyenoord, pretty impressive. He was manager of Alkmaar for 58 matches, winning 32 with a 55.17% win record. And then at Feyenoord, he's had 116 matches with 74 wins and a 63.79% win record. As I say, he's won Eredivisie, and it also should be mentioned he was also the Conference League runner-up in 21-22. That particular title was taken by Roma with Jose Mourinho in the opposite dugout, but still a very creditable achievement to get to that particular final. And they just came up short on the day. But as I say, he's won the league, and he's someone that I think would be, again, he's still quite youthful, 45 years of age. Could be someone that could be a viable option. The Dutch mentality, the way that Dutch play football, again, I think it's someone that could be a viable option. He would probably look to play football more in keeping with the West Ham mentality than probably we've had to put up with for the last 3.5 years. Now, another person to possibly consider, and this one's a little bit out of left field, and it's Kevin Nolan. Now, Kevin Nolan's actually right now a coach at West Ham United. Now, again, one of the negatives against him is that he has nothing in the way of any managerial experience in the Premier League, but he has had managerial experience. He managed Notts County down in the lower reaches of the league pyramid in England. Yeah, is that a sort of like a reason to sort of put him in? Possibly not. But if you look at the sort of like the past of the history of West Ham United, we have had a history of promoting from within. It's been a bit of a while since it happened, but the last manager that we actually managed to install from within the club to a permanent managerial position was the late Glenn Roeder. We've also done it before, obviously, with John Lyall, and obviously with Billy Bonds and Harry Redknapp. So we do have a track record in the past of promoting from within. Now, I think that he would be someone that, if he did get the nod, would straight away command respect from the players. From what I hear, he's someone that the players like, that they trust, and I believe that he would be someone, again, that would be able to galvanize the players and really bring them together. But again, a sort of negative slant on it would be that his experience of managing in the Premier League is actually quite limited. In fact, all of these guys that I've mentioned basically have very little or no experience of Premier League managerialship, with the exception of Graham Potter. Michael Carrick's got 3 matches as a Premier League manager. Arne Slot, Will Still, Kieran McKenna and Kevin Nolan have none between them. So this is all very much of a risk. Is there another name that maybe you think could be someone that's on the radar? I mean, there's many other names that I could mention and haven't, because obviously I'd be here all day and I haven't got all day to spend doing this recording. So you've got the comment section below. Is any of those guys that I've mentioned there a viable option for West Ham United? Or is there someone out there that maybe I haven't mentioned that you think this could be the answer to the current question of who replaces David Moyes? Whenever that comes about, if it comes about in the immediate future, if it comes about at the end of the season, if it comes about beyond that because David Moyes extends his reign at West Ham, it's going to happen at some point, and I think we need to discuss it and we need to keep an eye on it, because it's all about succession planning. If for whatever reason, God forbid, David Moyes wasn't in the hot seat tomorrow because of something that happened that no one could foresee, for argument's sake, then we need to have a plan of what we're going to do next. And it's no good just sitting on our hands and not discussing it. That's just where I'm at on it. You've got the comment section below. Get stuck into it. Who are we going to have out of those guys? Who would be your choice? Is there someone else or someone I've not mentioned that you think could be a viable option? Get the comments get it in the comment section below, and we'll go through it at a later stage. Guys, thanks for joining us. As I say, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and click all for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We will see you later on. We're going to do the match review of the Everton game, where we're going to talk more specifically about the goings on. Please join us for that, and we will see you again soon. Please also don't forget to give your full support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. And until next time, come on you Irons, we'll see you soon. The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on you Irons.